Garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out.
Hello, hello, all you gigalos. Welcome to Garbage In, Garbage Out. I'm your host, Kelton, and joining me, as always, is my amazing co-host, the Dark Knight himself, Grift. How is it going?
Hey, it's your local corked up white boy looking for his ethnically ambiguous Catwoman.
It's such a joy to see couples winning like this. It's the new trend. It's one of those things where like even racists are probably like, I'll allow it this time. It's fine.
I saw the story trending today that Zoe Kravitz auditioned for The Dark Knight Rises, but apparently they said she was, quote, too urban. So nice. Christopher Nolan, you're canceled.
It wasn't the plot points of The Dark Knight Rises of like, imagine if Occupy Wall Street was evil.
Yeah. Imagine if Bane was communist.
No, none of that whatsoever. It was the fact that he wouldn't cast Lenny Kravitz's daughter in a movie. I think she also would have been like 19 at the time, I think. And so, it's...
given Christian Bale's age in that one, and, he's playing like an older Batman, there would have been a problematic age gap there for sure.
Yeah, that's how you answer those accusations, Chris Nolan. You respond wokely in your own way, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's how you got to do it.
Well, this week, of course, as everyone can tell based on the title, we are talking about The Batman, the new 2022 film from director Matt Reeves. Grift, you have seen this movie twice now, so you're now the expert on this movie, I would like to say. So what did you think about it?
Oh, my God. So fucking good. I went and saw it again this afternoon because, I didn't have anything else to do. It's just like, fuck it, why not see it again before we record? And it was just as engrossing the second time. You caught a few more details. One thing that really stuck out to me the second time was the score. The musical score was really fucking good. Like just that like pounding theme that they have, and then the sort of the way in some of the more horror tinged scenes, the music really contributed to the atmosphere. It's just, we're gonna get into it with this one, but just an incredible production all the way around.
Yes, I completely agree. We're definitely going to be getting into it, so I want there to be like the obligatory spoiler warning, blah blah blah, over everything. But we're not going to be doing a full plot by plot breakdown because this movie is fucking 3 hours long. So instead, I really want us to discuss the themes and our favorite things and what we liked about this movie, because I think that's the main takeaway. Critics like this movie a fair amount. It's resting at like a 75 with weighted reviews. Audiences like it. It's sitting at like an 87. So if anyone's on the fence about whether or not they should watch it, sure, go ahead. Don't know why we would be the thing that would swing it one way or the other, but just watch it so you can actually start scrolling Twitter again and getting all of the increasingly obscure references, I think, would be something to do. Now, before we talk about, just like this was cool, and we start overly fanboying. I really wanted to give a lot of props to the people behind the camera, because Matt Reeves, he went from doing the Planet of the Apes movies to then doing Batman. The post has come out calling him the anti-Tim Burton with how he went in that order. Burton went the opposite. Yeah. So I think that of course, his vision really rings true. I'm incredibly excited for what other stuff he might end up having coming up set in this world. But also, I really wanted to shout out the second unit director named Robert Alonzo. He was also the second unit director for Deadpool, and he was a stunt coordinator for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I want to give him credit because this is the first time I've seen Batman really fight hard, not in like a cool stylized way like Zack Snyder does, or in the Nolan way where it's all shaky cam and like leg sweeps.
God, yeah.
I'm sorry, Batman can't fight in the Nolan movies. Like this has a brutality to it that I really respect what's happening.
It honestly makes the fight choreography in the Nolan movies look like a fucking joke. He'll like the Christian Bale will just like punch a guy once and then he just immediately collapses. Whereas like Robert Pattinson in this one, he is like beating each of his foes like several times with incredibly brutal punches and just fucking them up. And it obviously plays into his interpretation of the character because he's, relatively new to being Batman. He's still grappling with his rage and is still trying to figure out what exactly this pet project of his, so to speak, is really going for and what he's trying to do with it. But yeah, the fights were brutal, and the physics in a lot of it were very, very like realistic. And it was really cool to see how this version of the Batman like used his surroundings and the tools at his disposal, and had some really, really creative takedowns of the bad guys, as well as the brutality behind it.
Absolutely. I mean, what really helped set this movie apart in my head is the fact that this Batman is introduced like a goddamn horror monster. Like he comes from the shadows. And
I am the shadows.
It's just, like the gang, the subway street gang at the beginning of the movie that's trying to like blood in this one guy, right?
Yeah.
And like that poor teenager, he just watched like all the toughest guys in his neighborhood just get obliterated and ethered by some guy.
I really liked how he had the half Joker face paint to show like he's kind of in, but he hasn't been blooded yet. And like the gang and the vibe of Gotham, it was like straight out of the Warriors. It was, so like, you had this like, just dirty, gritty Gotham just covered in trash, and it's always raining. It's just filthy and dark. And like Batman's like, oh, they don't like fear is my weapon. They don't know what I'm lurking in the shadows. And just that whole opening sequence where there's this sort of like montage of low level street thugs committing robberies and beating people down, but they don't know whether Batman's in the shadows. And then when he finally emerges, you're like, fuck yeah, horror Batman, let's fucking go.
Well, you see it because like that's his superpower, is the fear that like odds are Batman's not going to get you, but Jesus Christ, if Batman does get you tonight, like it's the end. Like he is vengeance, as he likes to say over and over again.
I like how they keep calling him Vengeance. Like the Penguin and Catwoman both like sort of like cheekily refer to him as Vengeance, just because he's kind of corny with it in the beginning.
He absolutely is. I on the other side of the spectrum, I love how not Commissioner, Lieutenant Gordon at this stage is just calling him man, not Batman. So
I don't even know who you are, man.
He's like, come on, man.
Fuck you mean, man?
Let's go check out this crime.
Fuck you mean you left the perks in the Batcave?
It's such a great world that they built up. I mean, the production designer deserves props for this too, because while so many things get called gritty, but really what they just mean is edgelordy, like this is gritty in the sense that it's grounded, like this city it looks like it's just a run-down city, almost like there was $1 billion of funding that was meant to go towards repairs and then became a mob slush fund instead. Like it seems like something like that has happened to the city and the effects therein.
It was sort of the perfect merger of Nolan's like sort of like modern realistic cityscape with Chicago, with the gothic trappings of the Burton films, and like it was also very obviously New York. Like, I'm sorry, did Gotham Square Garden?
Yeah,
Wayne Tower is overlooking the park. Like it, yeah, and it felt like a realistic, gritty, but more sort of gothically stylized New York, which is exactly what Gotham is. It's like the gritty New York at night. Sort of. It was sort of like an update on the Gotham that we got in the Joker movie, but sort of in the present day instead of like the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes, I think that's very accurate. It's also wonderful how this movie has like 2 daylight scenes. Everything else is at night. And it's some real just like, oh, okay, like Robert Pattinson is a fucking vampire in this movie. Like it's wild. One of the writers for this film, who isn't Matt Reeves, who was the main writer, but this other guy, Peter Craig, he wrote The Town, which I really enjoyed as a film.
Hell
He
yeah.
then wrote Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. You're not gonna hell yeah that.
No.
No, you're not. No, it's bad.
Yeah.
But the reason I mentioned this is that he's also the writer for Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
So, fuck yeah, let's go. Let's go see what happens there. It seems like they kept the sensibilities of a comic book, but they tried to apply it to the real world. So everything kind of had a through line and a logic to it, like right even down to the Batcave. That's, just like an abandoned subway terminal.
Yeah.
I guess that is how it would work. And I guess it makes sense. Sure, fucking work with it. Just beautiful. Earlier, you had also mentioned about the sound. And, the sound design, of course, is its own thing. And I think that was cool. I like the, Spurs effect whenever Batman walked into a room, even though it was motorcycle boots. It's almost like he's the sheriff of the town walking in.
Yeah. And I liked how, the boots weren't, they just look like sort of combat boots that some like fashion forward person in the streets of New York would wear. It wasn't quite like full, like tricked out fucking bat boots that you would see on like the Affleck version of the character, who's like much more deep in the game at that point. There's still like a couple trappings to the suit that feel homemade and a little more like rough around the edges.
It is wonderful to see, like his costume. All of it felt incredibly practical. It has a cape, but you see him actually using the cape as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like he was fighting with the cape and he was using it to try and blind someone temporarily or wrap their head around. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, that would be terrifying if a giant bat came in, wrapped you up in its cloak, and then started pummeling you. Fuck. Oh, no.
Yeah, just getting smothered in the bat cape. Just, absolutely terrifying.
The reason I mentioned the music is that the composer for this, I believe his name is Michael Ganacci. He is kind of like an all-star person. Like, he did a ton of Pixar movies, also did the music for the Spider-Man franchise, as well as Jurassic World. So I think he's kind of coming up as our generation's go-to composer when you have a big movie. Just like, sure, knock it out of the park, do your amazing thing all the time, every time.
So he's kind of like taking up the Hans Zimmer mantle a bit.
A little bit, but what makes him different though is that he tries to incorporate real materials that exist in the movie and make a score with utilizing that as a factor.
Ooh, okay.
And so it's pretty cool. I know this movie's going to come out on Blu-ray or it's going to be available on HBO Max or whatever. I don't care. I need all of the special features about this because I want to know everything about how this movie got made. The editors for this were named William Hoy and Tyler Nelson. Tell me if you've heard of these movies that they've worked on, Grift. 300, Watchmen, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and the Mindhunter TV series.
Yeah, there's two people are behind all of those. It's like, yeah, it's Fincher and Snyder. And I think we were talking pre-show about how it felt like this took the best elements from like both of those two auteurs' collective works and sort of merged it into this new product that I think worked really well.
I'm still just in awe over it. The way that they were able to blend stylistically so many things. like even using things like light. I know it sounds weird and dumb, but like how they utilized light as they're cutting from scene to scene, and the darkness, you felt like you were staying in the city. It all felt very real and kind of tying the storylines together. I hate to be utilizing the Stan Lee quote of, well, New York is a character in the Marvel world, but like Gotham feels like its own kind of character because of how they edited this movie to feel the entire time. It just, again, props to them. The biggest props in the world, though, to my new favorite guy who exists in this world. I didn't realize that he was my favorite person until I came across the fact that he worked on several things I enjoy. It's a gentleman by the name of Greg Fraser, who is the cinematographer for this. He was also the cinematographer for Foxcatcher, Rogue One, Season 1 of Mandalorian, and Dune. So, my favorite movie of 2021, and what is a strong contender for favorite movie of 2022. Same cinematographer. Good work, guy.
Yeah, this was the best 3-hour epic that I've seen since Dune, for sure.
Please don't make any movies on your own. Please work with Villeneuve and please work with Reeves. Just make more Dune than a Batman. Dune than a Batman over and over again until you die. Thank you.
Apparently, Robert Pattinson just said that he wants to be in the Dune sequel. So they haven't cast they haven't cast Thade Routha yet. So
let's go.
Fucking go. Like he can go. He can dye his hair like those promo shots that have been floating around from his earlier work. Like, yeah, he can go lean into the quirked up white boy thing. Like, I think it's a perfect fit.
Absolutely. I think he's the right man for the job. We can will this into existence. You hear that? Let's start a campaign. Pattinson full frontal in Dune 2. So that's all the stuff behind the camera. I really like giving these people these props and also kind of highlighting the fact, like, this is what blockbusters should be, is a bunch of incredibly talented people from other things all getting together and making something that meshes well cohesively. It shouldn't just be a formulaic equation on some studio exec spreadsheet going like, well, this will be a profitable blockbuster because formulaically it says that it will. No, it's a whole bunch of different creatives all, again, collaborating and working together under one singular vision, which I love.
Yeah, I mean, the bar is fucking on the ground at this point, and particularly for comic book movies. But I mean, this felt like an actual, real fucking movie, which in this day and age,
crazy,
is like nuts, and particularly a 3-hour movie that did not feel like that at all. Like the runtime just flew by. I think like your post about it being like a really good HBO miniseries in theaters, like that definitely rung true, but I'm not complaining at all because it flowed well from plot point to plot point. Everything was fleshed out. You mentioned that you weren't rewriting it in your head as it went along, and I felt the same way because I was just excited to find out where it was going to go next. I wasn't thinking like, oh no, I would have done this differently. I would have done this, a better way, which usually is the case like when we're watching contemporary films. But I was along for the ride, basically.
And this felt like a real movie instead of episode 1 of the Batman saga TV show. Like Marvel movies feel of, this is the next episode of the TV, whatever. Fine. I'm not gonna keep hating on Marvel, but just my God, they should be on suicide watch after this.
And considering that they're planning on doing spin-off HBO series of this, like it technically is,
because that's what HBO fucking rocks at.
Yeah. Like it technically is doing the Marvel thing where it's like building, they're building out the cinematic universe and there's going to be future ones, but it made you actually want there to be more entries in this world, because it wasn't just teasing future characters or storylines. It was actually an incredibly well plotted, thought out story with emotional arcs and like incredible character beats. And yeah, it was just the whole package, very satisfying, wrapped up well while teasing a little more for the future. So like we're just jacking this thing off the whole time. I'm
it's
here
fine.
for it.
It's
like,
coming all over the place. It's good. It feels good. It feels right.
We're accessing all areas of the Batcave.
Well, my point is like, if I can feel this way about a fucking Batman reboot, like fucking Batman, like I'm a franchise where every time it's announced, I go, do we need another fucking one of these? And yet I went opening weekend for this podcast and I had a complete blast with it. Like, there's no reason I should have enjoyed this, but then I realized I enjoyed it because it was fresh, it was new, it was well presented, it had all of the elements of completely solid filmmaking, and it just kind of reminded me about how far down the scale things have slid to this point when it comes to, you know, other comic things, like what you've settled for and what's become the norm. Like, I'm sorry that this isn't WandaVision or whatever the fuck, but like I will take this 1 week in Gotham kind of storyline. Like it just is, it's beautiful is what it is. It embraces the wet, filthy darkness that exists in the city. You know, like when you're able to, and I keep going back to the idea of light, but when you have, you know, red light just permeating throughout the entire film, and then it becomes yellow. And so then the theme goes from red and black to yellow and black. It's a slight shift, but that's also kind of implying that there was also a little bit of an arc that exists, you know, and I'm sure we'll get to it later, but you know, just fucking great. I loved it. I loved it so much.
It literally made me want to go check out like classic Batman comics and graphic novels that it drew inspiration from. Like, that's what these movies should be doing. It should be making you want to go check out the original source material. But like, who has ever watched a Marvel movie and then gone, damn, I really need to check out these comics that they're based on? It's like, no, you're like they're
going to be so mad when they find out that Falcon actually had like a pet falcon and it wasn't a drone instead. It could have been cool. It could have been cool instead. Nah, fuck this. It's one of those things, you know, earlier you had alluded to about, you know, we're getting glimpses into the world as it's constructed versus we're getting, you know, just kind of force fed the information of saying what it is. I love in the third act, there's the part where Batman takes just like a shotgun blast to the chest and is just, you know, stroking out like it's going to be the end of him. And then he pulls like a little green vial out of fucking nowhere, doesn't explain what it is, and then just, you know, puts it into an already established port on the bat suit that then injects him, and then he just fucking goes nuts on one of the goons.
He goes. I think someone on Twitter put it. He went full goblin mode, like, and it's not explained at all. We didn't get some, like, you know, some sort of expository scene where he's showing off how he got the gadgets from the military industrial complex through his, like, you know, intelligence handler. It's just like, no, he's Batman. He has these, he just has this fucking thing to deploy, and when he needed it, he brought it out, and it was fucking awesome.
It's wonderful. And you know, they weren't like what you're talking about, like it wasn't Alfred being like, your father was working on a new serum to try and repair the human body. It's called Venom. They practiced it in various South American countries. It became the bane of your father's existence. Anyways, moving on. You know, and we're making jokes about that because that's what another unnamed studio does all the fucking time. Like, that's just all it's become. Yeah, you know what? Let's just focus on this Batman, though. Like, I really enjoyed Robert Pattinson's just absolute dedication to not being another jacked up guy. it was just weird to see him be like, oh, like he's clearly in shape. He's like in the top 5 percentile of being in shape, but he's still like a scrawny, super pale, super emo little guy. And so it was just nice to see him just like as you had mentioned, going goblin mode the entire time.
Like he's definitely in shape, but he's pretty lean. He's not like a fucking like roided out beast. Like
because all he eats are little berries. Come on now.
Yeah. And like it's actually realistic in that if this person were to exist in real life and was out all night, he would just be a fucking wreck, you know, like just red bleary eyes, just like it completely
put
like
on the dark sunglasses.
Yeah, just like I mean, he's already a fucking like insane person to pursue this project, but it just, you know, fucks with his mental health and ability to like interact, like have regular interactions with people. Like
yeah, he's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, he plays him like he's pretty much on the spectrum. Like when Catwoman
I'm gonna push back a little bit on this. We cannot start just calling fucking weird white guys being on the spectrum.
No,
come on
Divergent
now.
Batman just dropped.
Yeah, no. This is a guy who's hopped up on amphetamines for like 2 years straight. He's not able to make eye contact with people. He's autistic, or maybe he's just a fucking psychopath and doesn't know how to have like normal conversations with anyone anymore. I'm sorry, Greg, that he's not relatable to you.
No, I was specifically referencing the bit of discourse I've seen on that on the timeline with that one.
I'm sorry. It's important for marginalized groups to have representation, but it's not there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know who could have worked as proper, I say proper, but as representation? Maybe Alfred or maybe someone else. Just, you know, like you don't need fucking just emo listening to Nirvana Batman.
He just like, you know, Alfred's like, oh, the way accountants are here, our company's finances are a mess. And he just stumbles out and puts on sunglasses and the please be patient, I have autism hat.
The accountants are meeting with Batman because they're hoping he's gonna Rain Man the entire thing.
Yeah. Fuck.
God.
Oh my god.
You know, like I also love how in this version, Batman is an actual detective. Like you see him doing detective work beyond just like, oh, I looked at my computer, or in The Dark Knight, I built a sonar copy of the city so I could find the Joker, or
I violated the human rights of every person in Gotham. I was able to reconstruct a bullet fragment from like some 3D render or whatever bullshit he did in The Dark Knight. Like it's like, I'm honestly like sort of like those movies will always have nostalgia for me. Cause you know, when they was, I remember being absolutely blown away seeing The Dark Knight in theaters, but I
makeup. Oh my God.
I have to reassess after this one because it did things, and particularly with the noir detective angle. And it really felt true to the character in ways that no other film in this franchise has even attempted to do.
Christopher Nolan turned, in his version, Bruce Wayne is basically James Bond that sometimes dresses up like a bat to fight crime. Like that's kind of like his version of Batman. And like this version of Batman, you know, like in other versions, like Batman and Jim Gordon, like they're talking and they're like equals, you know, they're going over like an engineering project, discussing, you know, the smallest details. Like this Batman is like if you had like a 6'5" Great Dane just, you know, bring like a dead squirrel in its mouth and just drop it in front of you. You're like, oh God, oh no. Like this Batman, he doesn't pull any punches. It's vicious. You know, as we were talking about earlier, like every punch lands. It's absolutely brutal, but it also, you know, like how the cops treat Batman is great because they're like, he's a fucking freak show. Like, what? Why are we allowing him in here?
it honestly speaks to like Gordon's reputation that he can be allowed to just invite Batman into the crime scene where the mayor has just been brutally murdered in like
when they're bitching about the chain
style. Like, yeah.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The whole chain of custody of the evidence.
Yeah.
They're like, no.
Don't worry, he's wearing gloves. He's not going to contaminate the scene. Just starts ripping up the carpet off of like just a hunch.
It worked. I'm right. I am the greatest detective. I mean, I guess like I just wish you waited 5 seconds. It's okay. I've been recording our entire conversation. What? With my eyes. Because again, there is still like the Batman high techness, but even that doesn't feel like super out there. Like it's basically Google Glass, but if it was a contact. And I also liked how it was kind of in black and white, and it had like a tint on it, and everything had an almost retro feel for it being as high tech as it was, because it's all prototype stuff that he's come up with.
Yeah, it was like retro gothic futurism almost. In the style.
Dare we say goth cyberpunk? Dare we venture into that?
I'll throw my weight behind that. That's a good way to put it for sure. And the little heads up display on the contacts that could recognize known quantities, like when he gave Catwoman the lenses in the club, and she's going around identifying members of Gotham's political elite there.
Well, I don't know if you also saw it. He was there. It wasn't like it was able to just read every face. He had like a database of all of like the cops and of the city councilmen. So that's what he was actually scanning through. It wasn't.
He had a little mobile hub. It wasn't like he was like commanding from the back cave. Like he set up like a mobile command site, just like under like by the side of like a train, and it's like just under this little like overpass, and it's raining right next to it, and like the train's going overhead.
Bike.
Yeah,
his bad dirt bike.
Like
he's riding around.
It's like it's so high tech, but it's so homemade and so gritty. Like just perfect.
They thought it through. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's even the little things, about where it's like Batman, like, he doesn't use guns, but then like he still has and grabs a shotgun and then is beating a man to death with it.
When he grabs their gun and uses it like a baseball bat, like he literally has a couple baseball swings in there. Like first when he like grabs a pole from a guy, and then when he grabs the rifles at the end from the Riddler shooters, like just fucking awesome.
And then I still love how even this Batman like bends the rules of like, I don't use guns, shoots a grappling hook through one guy's knee,
or just moves aside to let them shoot each other.
Okay, come on, Bruce. Just we're already starting to fudge that code, but he also never says that he doesn't kill. He's just, in his big scene, he's like, you can't kill your own dad. That's something, like that's the line you cross.
I love how people were saying that, like, oh my God, it was so nice to see a Batmobile chase where nobody died. They literally caused like a 3 tractor trailer pileup with a like mushroom cloud level explosion.
I really hate to break it to you, but when those 2 18-wheelers full of gasoline collided into each other to create a explosion large enough and intense enough for Penguin to start just like fist pump cheering as he drove away, because he was so confident that no one survived that.
I got you. Oh yeah, I mean, like I know we're getting all over the place, but I fucking love the Penguin too. Like
Colin Farrell, my God bless you for doing this. Like
just the facial prosthetics, like him basically doing like a Jersey mob boss Tony Soprano impression. It was like, but it was actually
he's getting his own
too.
Sequel. He's getting his own sequel. We're getting Batman Sopranos.
Oh my God, let's fucking go. Like it was the perfect amount of like the balance between like the menace and the camp. because they had him do a fucking penguin waddle. Like,
yes, they have him all tied up as they're interrogating him, and then they abandon him. He's like, "You're just gonna leave me here?" And then does the waddle. It's great.
And like, yeah, oh my god, yeah.
But they did. But I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no,
I need to again emphasize the fact that we saw him do a penguin waddle. No one said, "Look at the penguin. He's doing a penguin waddle." Is that why they call you the Penguin? Smirk to camera, look to camera.
Yeah.
Tom Holland making a cameo for no apparent fucking reason. Like it just worked because they presented ridiculousness just for what it was, and they let us as the audience enjoy it. We didn't need to have a laugh track to tell us what was entertaining or not.
I literally like laughed out loud more times in this movie than any other comic book movie like I can remember. Like,
I'm sorry, I'm just cracking up. The thumb drive. How did no one crack up at the thumb drive?
Oh my god, yeah, like just all the Riddler's little puns and shit, like just so good. Like again, it's like he was an incredibly menacing, sinister, creepy character, but just that little level of camp to it where they're not taking themselves too seriously in the like wink and nod at the camera, like, oh, you're in on the joke, right? But they actually like they use like show don't tell humor. And
amazing what happens when you do that, when you
trust your
three-dimensional characters. Yeah. I mean, because like even the penguin, like he does a penguin waddle. He's in all of these goofy ass fucking prosthetics, but he still has like the principles of being a mobster, of where like he isn't a rat. You know, he's not like, oh no, don't kill me, I'll tell you anything. He's very much like, fucking kill me, I don't care, because like his principles are that no one rats. Like that's his whole thing.
I know, fucking rat. Yeah.
and like when it's revealed that Falcone was the rat, and he's just like, I hope you die.
He just immediately like, pulls out a gun. I love too how in that scene he was like dressed in like a purple and green suit. Like, I don't know whether that was a little like just sort of like, you know, comic book nod, but it was just like very, very subtly styled. And, you know, his first, you know, he acted like any other mob boss would, but he also runs a fucking club called the Iceberg Lounge. And like the club within the club is called 44 Below. It's like, oh, it's just, it's so campy, but it's also so serious. And like, it's just, again, it's the perfect balance between those things. And they did it. They fucking nailed it. Like
the thing that makes this so special to me is that it is all done solidly, but everything is solid, and that's what makes it wonderful. Like the car chase, for example, it's entertaining, it's exhilarating, it's disorienting. It's all done to technical perfection. There are fixed camera angles to where when you're watching the penguin, you're in front of him. So you're getting the idea of him looking back at Batman, and Batman, we're always looking at it with him looking forward at the penguin, so that there is this feeling of an actual hunt and of a pursuit taking place. And it's not doing the bullshit quick cut every 5 seconds to every corner of the city all the way through. They kept it small, contained, and intense, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, and then when the Batmobile does its jump through the flames, it was because a ramp from the flipping truck fell in front of it, and you see it go up the ramp, and it's just like, yeah, it's really hard to make a especially like a car chase scene that doesn't overutilize those quick cuts, like you said, but also feels like fresh and intense. And again, it was exhilarating. And like, I know you did have a qualm about how they spoiled a lot with the trailers, and that's that sequence and the aftermath where he's upside down in the car watching the Batman walk towards him from his viewpoint, where the Batman's upside down. Like that was spoiled by the trailer, but in the moment I was still like, fuck yeah, like let's go.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to mention about Batman that we had talked about before a little bit is that he's not fully formed. You know, this is year 2 of Bruce being on the case of the Gotham Project, as he calls it. So he has like enough cool gadgets to be interesting, but he still is clearly also beta testing other gadgets at the same time. Like when he turns his fucking suit into the squirrel outfit, the squirrel jumping
wingsuit. Yeah.
Yes. And then like you're like, wow, okay, he's flying. He's really gaining speed. Look at that. He's flying like a bat. Okay, he's going down. He's getting low. All right, he's gonna go through the tunnel. Everything's gonna be great. Like, wow, he's gonna land on top of the truck as it's going through the tunnel. So bad. Oh, the parachute went off. Oh no, the parachute got caught on the bridge. Oh fuck. Oh god. Oh no.
Oh no, he's limping away from the scene into the shadows.
Just, really? I am the knight.
Yeah, or like when he takes on multiple enemies in groups, like he's taking hits. He's taking just like a lot of gunfire. Like he's not. He hasn't completely honed his combat abilities into where he's just effortlessly beating people down, and able to engage with large groups like a fucking like the Arkham video game or something, or the Bale Bat, where he can just one punch man like 5 enemies at once, and then just they immediately fall down.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna forgive Christopher Nolan. Let's talk about the super gritty Christian Bale Batman, where he has no cartilage in one knee, puts a brace on the knee, and then is able to knee kick through concrete. Yeah, that. Everyone knows that super real Batman. God, whatever. Again, I have been on the take that the Bale Batman movies are going to age the worst because it's shot like this serious Scorsese level kind of drama. It's like Heat almost, but with a guy in a bat suit fighting a clown, and that's not going to age super well. It doesn't take away from it, but it shows that we're at a different point in our culture where now we can actually have something that's even more actually grounded on it, of where we'll accept that kind of a thing, because I really want to start talking about Riddler.
Let's go. Fuck yeah. The world's most powerful Lobby.
He is so good. I see a lot of people are drawing comparisons to Zodiac and to Seven, and I think that that's fair. I think that that's valid, but not enough people are talking about how this is similar to Saw. The Riddler is Jigsaw. He has the modulated voice. He has a similar motive of trying to root out corruption and look at who you've harmed, blah, blah, blah. These over-the-top theatrical torture traps. Okay, in a PG-13 movie, we watch a police commissioner's face get eaten by rats.
Yeah,
we're like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, 13-year-olds can watch photos of this.
Yeah,
fine.
The first scene, we watch him beat the mayor to death with a carpet tool. Like we see the DA's head get blown off with a neck bomb.
But we didn't see a nipple, Grift, and that's the important thing. We have to be careful.
I would have had to avert my eyes if they'd done a little tasteful nudity with Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz and her roommate, quote unquote. Yes, her roommate.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's all they were.
Her roommate that she calls Babe. And
we'll get to Catwoman in just a moment, but okay, you know what? It's time for me to issue the first major apology here, because I think we all had fun online. I think all of us did, mocking the Riddler's costume. Calling it a Party City knockoff, looking like shit. And it turns out that was exactly the point, because it was all supposed to be stuff that you could have just picked up at an army surplus store or just wherever, and maintain full anonymity throughout. And God damn it. Well done, Matt Reeves. You proved me exactly wrong for making fun of you. So respect to you on that. God,
and they obviously cribbed a lot from online culture from the Riddler acting like a Twitch streamer, like he's like thanking
Oh
his
my God, when he
subscribers.
breaks character
Yeah.
slightly, you know,
Yeah.
he's like, yes, Gotham will suffer. You will see the pain that you've brought. But also, I really appreciate the subscriptions, guys. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
It literally felt like a Sam Hyde video at times. Or something.
It's just a beautiful thing. You know, I'm not gonna try and hate on Riddler too much because he's terrifying. Objectively, amazing performance by Paul Dano throughout. You exactly perfect casting for this. A lot of people making fun of Riddler also for having 500 followers, saying that, you know, haha, I have more followers than Riddler. That may be true. You know, let's ignore the fact that it's like a closed circuit, bizarre, Gotham only kind of social media site. But you know, those are the ridiculous factors. He got all 500 followers though to buy an outfit, buy a rifle, and climb to the top of the building. You know, that is a dedicated fan base that I think any podcast would kill to have as listeners.
Yeah, you hearing that, regular listeners who haven't signed up to the Patreon? It's time for you to go Riddler mode.
I just love the idea of like every Batman villain kind of cornering like a weird part of social media, you know, like Riddler is obviously kind of getting like the Twitch kind of crowd a little bit, but you know, I just interesting to see like what the other social sites could get dominated by. Poison Ivy with Instagram.
Oh yeah,
I think,
she's
with all the
absolutely
flowers.
like an Instagram like influencer thought.
I'm saying let's turn Arkham Asylum into a hype house, right?
Let's go.
Like, just
Dude,
hello, my name is Hugo Strange, and I have brought 6 of the most interesting criminals of Gotham living together.
The Joker's a TikToker.
My account keeps getting banned.
Mr. Freeze is on MySpace still for some reason.
Absolutely.
My wife was killed so long ago that no other social media existed then.
Pulling out his Razor flip phone to T9 text his MySpace updates. Let's not make too many jokes here, because that might attract the wrong fans, you know, because there weren't any jokes in this movie. That it wasn't funny. You see,
my God.
no,
People actually were saying that. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Your brains have been melted. Like
I'm still thinking about when Batman is showing the photo of the mayor to Penguin, and Penguin's like, come on,
I wasn't rolling with him. Like, come on, I'm just a proprietor.
It's so good.
Yo, bad cop, bad shit cop.
Oh my God, it's so it fits all of the characters. Like I think that's the problem that people have, is like, well, why isn't everyone acting like they're in a movie? Why aren't they all being Deadpool? Why aren't they all like quipping to themselves apropos of nothing that would only make sense to do if you knew you were in a movie to get a zinger, you know? Why aren't they talking like that? Why are they just talking like real people instead? Yeah, who knows? Who could have possibly known? Oh, the Batman being wrong as well. You don't know Spanish? It's la. It's not hell.
Penguin being like, "What if you don't fucking know your Spanish? Get the fuck out of here!"
Not very woke of you, Batman. Habla español.
Yeah, it's like you said it here, but if this was a Marvel movie, they would have had like a paid plug for Duolingo or something.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, you have fucking Nirvana Batman. That is an inherently funny idea. They just play it straight the whole time. It doesn't need bullshit quips and needle drops. Like, you have the performances and the moments that are shaping the movie the entire way through, that you know, it brings a real ethos to the entire film. I just really appreciated it, you know, like it's just wonderful.
Yeah, and like, and also like we haven't even touched on the fact that like it tells like a pretty like a dense, well written, like well plotted, pretty hard hitting story about political corruption and
yeah.
and
Oh
at
my
the
God.
end in environmental collapse.
It does. I mean, it hits on things like how there can be 20 years of different elections, but really it's the same person pulling the strings the entire time. That doesn't seem like, you know, it might be poignant or anything for us to remember or keep in mind as a Hurricane Katrina level event takes place and wipes through Gotham. No, not at all. Not something worth checking out and exploring.
Yeah. And then they have the change, you know, the hope and change AOC stand-in candidate, like whose name is literally Rayal. Rayal change, like Rayal
That's
change
right.
for Gotham.
You know, it's one of those things of where it's a comic book movie. Of course it's going to be ridiculous, but they play it straight. They don't quip about it. That's what makes it entertaining the entire time. You can have these ridiculous characters because Gotham is now at the end of the movie, you know, Riddler's plans, like the corruption is revealed, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, Gotham is flooded. And it's just like, all right, let's fucking go. Let the freaks take over. Like, order has been completely flipped around. So let's see what happens. Like, it's beautiful. But I don't want us to skip over Catwoman before we start getting to the end of the movie. That's my biggest concern because, you know, I know people were making jokes about Zoe Kravitz is so hot, and yes, she's hot in the movie, but I was sat next to a 12-year-old boy, a 10-year-old boy, and then they're like 35-year-old dad.
Did they all let out audible moans when she came on screen?
They all started whisper talking to each other. And I was like, come on, this is like those boys are realizing something about their orientation as when she came on screen. Yeah, they had a moment of realization. No, but but those fucking pictures of her, those like, what were those from? Like, were those like promo shoots or whatever of her like licking like lumpy milk out of a bowl or something? That was her just fucking around on set, like in between takes and things. So, like, at least from what I can tell, behind the scenes, everyone was having a blast the whole time because, you know, they were trying to not go insane while also following protocols for COVID and things while filming. So, you know, like, sure, go lick milk, I guess, and get a photo taken. You do you, Zoe. Who am I to judge about what goes on? All the different outfits I thought was cool. I like the idea of how she has all the different wigs. She rides a motorcycle herself too, you know, and she's running her own operation to try and steal just a whole bunch of money from her dad. So it's a long con operation of her own. You know, I thought that was fun because she got like her giant big score, and then her plan was to dip out of the city. And she's like, "Well, I got my money. I'm gonna go ahead and leave now. And you should come with me, Bruce." Or not Bruce. No. She goes, "Come with me, Batman. And, let's leave those assholes like Bruce Wayne behind." What? What's wrong with Bruce Wayne? I agree about the other people, but like, what about Bruce Wayne? You don't think he has like a charm? Maybe.
Yeah, I love how they have her do the sort of like cringy woke line when she's like, "We need to take down the white patriarchy," and then just immediately starts making out with Bruce Wayne. It's like.
That's right.
Yeah, a little bit of race and class play juxtaposition there.
Yeah, you need to. We're gonna fight back against the system. Me and my multi-billionaire boyfriend.
Yeah, we can go knock off a few hedge fund types upstate. Just imagine like the bat and the cat doing like home invasions in some like upstate New York mansion.
I would be fucking terrified if Batman and Catwoman just became like robbers instead. Oh dear God.
Yeah, they're terrorizing the college towns upstate.
Batman took my new TV. Why? God damn it. Batman tried to fence it at a pawn shop. He doesn't know how poor people work. God damn it, Batman.
Yeah, she's taking a leaf out of Jane Sanders' book, Stealing a College.
So, I mean, people have also talked about how maybe Catwoman's going to get her own spinoff, and, sure, fucking great. Spin everything off. Why not at this point? It's wonderful. One thing I did want to mention, also, since we are kind of a little scattershot, is the fact that everyone's big like finger waving, feel good about yourself for saying this about Batman take of like, well, actually Bruce Wayne should stop being Batman and try to instead give all of his money away to various nonprofit organizations. Like that is a pivotal plot point of this entire movie of where Thomas Wayne does exactly that, and then it becomes a $1 billion slush fund for the mob. As I said, literally it funds two competing mob bosses war that rips the city apart, and there's nothing anyone can do about it.
And then you have the hope and change candidate being like, Bruce, you should do more philanthropy. You should put more into the renewal fund. It's just like,
maybe that's what you should do, huh? Maybe give me some money from the renewal fund. Just what a wonderful thing too, because of course there's probably a balance of some way, and I'm sure in future movies Batman will probably start to explore that option, because we see a real arc that takes place throughout this film, of where what's the line at the beginning? He says, fear is a tool. When that light hits the sky, it's not just a call, it's a warning. And he's punching people and it's all badass, but then like by the end of it, after he goes through and then he gets like the big reveal from Riddler, when Riddler's like, I was leaving clues for you because we were working together, we were taking down the city, vengeance, like we're the same. And he's like, oh
it's so God. Good. Like the Riddler thinking that Batman is like secretly working with him and helping him along with his fucking plot, and him.
This was all just a happy coincidence for the Riddler by accident. Like, you brought Falcone into the light, literally.
Yeah, I couldn't do it myself. Like, I needed your violence, and you played your role.
And he's happy and he's talking about it. It's great how Riddler's big thing that's driving him insane is that he didn't get the chance to kill Bruce Wayne. It's the delight, it's to see what's happening there. Even then, when Batman is fighting at not Gotham Square Park, Gotham Square Garden, against like the army of Riddler shooters, because just for anyone who might, in the distant future, if you don't remember this exact plot point, after Riddler gets caught, the bombs go off, so the flooding starts, people go into Gotham Square Garden where the mayor-elect is there, and that's like when a potential mass shooting is about to start among all the targeted elites. So I'm not really sure it's a mass shooting, like a group assassination attempt, I guess would be the best way to phrase it.
I mean, they were firing into the crowd too. Like, he had his followers go panic mode for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's also probably his message was attracting a bunch of people who maybe after they shoot the mayor, they have their own agendas and scores that they're trying to settle.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Who knows? Weird that these guys might not be the most saying like, oh well, we accomplished our mission. Doodle-doo-doo-doo, time to go. Form an orderly exit out of the door. But yeah, so when Batman's fighting one of the Riddler goons, and he takes his mask off, and he recognizes him as one of the guys from the funeral, and it's like, well, who are you? And he's like, I'm Vengeance. He's like, oh my god, this is my legacy. No, kind of a thing. So then when he closes out, and it's the second shot of the movie that's set in the day is one of the last shots of where he's helping load people up into helicopters or into boats, and he's trying to get people out, like he's helping in the daylight. As he talks about how vengeance won't change the past, not mine or anyone else's. People need something more. They need hope. It's like, oh my god, you get what Batman is. Like, that is Batman. Like, that's an understanding of why he does what he does. And just it makes me have to do apology number 2, which sucks, because I wanted to make fun of edgelord Bruce Wayne. Haha. Look at him, he's a little emo, fucking it's gonna be so edgy, all the way through. And it turns out that's exactly the point. He was supposed to be that, because we're seeing him at the beginning of an arc, and then we see him at the end of an arc. I had gotten so used to seeing characters that remain static and don't change from movie to movie. I had forgotten that comic book movies can actually be highlighting one part of one character before the arc fully happens. Like, wow. Just good job, Matt Reeves, again.
And like that arc is also, it's perfectly synthesized with also the reality that this is a traumatized, disturbed billionaire who beats on, like, poor people, because at the end, it's very obvious, like, Katrina imagery. Like, it's undeniable. Yeah. And then he's like, the criminal element never sleeps. There's looters. So my first thought was like, oh God, like he's going to go Chris Kyle mode on the fucking Superdome.
Okay. He's learning still. Okay.
Yeah. He's not fully formed.
He's on the right path. A couple of minorities have to suffer, like, of course it is Batman after all. A couple more villains need to, like, get made, like, Mr. Freeze's wife has to drown or whatever the fuck. The Flood has to, like, fry out his freeze chamber of her, or however they're gonna work it, to where then he gets obsessed with water and cooling it. Who knows? It's just like it's something about where I'm actually excited to see more from this world and see what it has to offer, because I know it's not going to be exact tie-ins. It's going to be stuff that you can watch or not, and it doesn't really matter. It matters whether or not you actually are into it or not. And that's a fucking beautiful thing to have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and just the promise of more too, like in the end montage where you see the Penguin looking over the ruined city, plotting his consolidation of power. Like,
he's now the top dog. That was wonderful. Like, wow. Like, okay. Glow up for Penguin. Good for you, guy.
Like, this was actually like, we didn't I appreciated how they didn't rehash the whole Batman origin story. Like, we didn't see his parents get killed, but like, this was almost like a Penguin origin story too. Right. And
we're getting the whole HBO show set in the Penguin world. So fuck yeah. I love this. We're using Batman as actually the pilot for, again, Gotham Sopranos. Let's do this. It's a wonderful thing. So now we're getting into the last question that I think so many people are wondering. We've been so back and forth with our opinion of this movie. But would you say that this movie is garbage or not?
Well, the Gotham in this movie may be just littered with garbage, but this movie is anything but. Just the fact that it was 3 hours and didn't feel like you never felt the length. Like it just flew by. It took you along for the ride. It's a staggering achievement for a comic book movie. And if you've seen it, I hope you've enjoyed us hearing us fanboy over it for an hour. But like, yeah, it's like I am completely satisfied and I cannot wait for more from this universe.
It's wonderful. When I first watched it, I said that this was an excellent HBO Max miniseries that you can only binge watch in theaters.
Yeah.
And I stand by that, but like I mean it in the sense of like it's an excellent HBO Max miniseries that you feel like you're binge watching. We're at a point of television where it doesn't feel like that ridiculous to watch, I don't know, 4 episodes of a show like Peacemaker all at once. So you can stomach it. You can watch this movie all in one sitting. It doesn't need to be just a solid 90 minutes. Instead, it can be an epic because it's going to feel epic. And so that makes me feel good. DC is in the right hands in this one particular case. I'm terrified for everything else because I'm not feeling that great about Black Adam. Let me put it that way, Grift. I'm not feeling too good about it. But let's now get to plugs here. What is going on in the shop right now?
Well, yeah, we are rapidly accelerating towards World War III. Like it's fucking going wild on the timeline. So I've been putting out more designs in the Lethal Aid collection. So just poking fun at all the ridiculous propaganda that is being pumped to us now that Putin ended COVID, and now Stand with Ukraine is the new thing that the NPCs are into. So go check that out on the shop. A bit of gallows humor as the gas prices are going through the roof. Literally, probably the city here is gonna turn into Gotham soon. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out.
Oh, please. You don't have a mayor that can enact real change yet. I'm sorry, Grift. It's you're going to have to wait just a while longer to go Riddler mode, and then it'll be fine. Let's see. For the actual podcast itself, of course, we have our Patreon, which someone asked me to describe what our Patreon is, since we are currently in the midst of doing our Yellowstone TV show. And the best way I can phrase that to everyone, if you want to join the Patreon, is a book club where we're just going over an episode of Yellowstone each week and then going over plot by point, plot by plot, whatever the fuck. It's been a long
plot point. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Completing each other's sandwiches.
I got you, bro.
It's great. And so, yeah, more content like that on the Patreon. No worries. And so it's a wonderful time if you, again, enjoy getting cowboy pilled all the way through. But we're also hoping to try and get up to 25 patrons, so that way then we can do an actual GigoCast every week on there. That would be fun as we're going over the next season and slate of blockbuster movies and the trailers therein. So I can't wait for us to start getting the trailers for all of these shows. Pump it right into my fucking veins. Let's go.
And I've been seeing more and more well-known posters start to do Yellowstone threads. So
crazy how that is, and yet our engagement numbers interesting.
Yeah, kind of funny how when we started covering it, that all of a sudden this trend started popping up. So if you want to start watching the show and following along, it's honestly worth your while. And I think we're the only show that's like doing like a episode recap, at least within our media spheres, as far as I'm aware.
In my opinion, we're also by far the most entertaining as well, because
no doubt. Yeah.
Cranking this show to 11 is what makes it entertaining. The highest compliment I've ever gotten was someone saying that they enjoy listening to Yellowstone more than they enjoyed watching Yellowstone. And I was like, thank you. I'm glad the world that we are building is working out well. So it's enjoyable. Well, we are though we're approaching critical mass right now. My room is flooding as we speak. It's okay. I have to go appear to my 500 followers. Just quick give a shout out to them. So I gotta get going. Let's say goodbye, Grift.
Peace.
Deuces.